A vegan food business. That sounds really exciting. Thank you. Thank you for the intro. A lot of excited people now. What I wanted to talk about tonight is 4 steps to building a zero churn business. I've done it with a number of businesses in the past. I've had 7 different companies in tech, as well as traditional bricks and mortar. And so what I want to share is what I've done in the past B2B businesses that I'm now going to apply to a B2C business. Are you saying you want the microphone closer to my mouth? Okay. Start the time over. No. So that's what I said already. So the first thing you want to do is go narrow, really narrow. It drives me crazy when I meet people starting businesses and their market is everybody and anybody, and it's small business, or it's restaurants, or I have a photo sharing app. It's not narrow enough. So in the case of, I have a snack that I'm launching in January, and I'm targeting the vegan community. And I'll explain, I'm actually even going narrower than that. And this is the problem. This is the problem. You spend so much money acquiring customers, and then they start churning. And churn compounds over time. A lot worse than your RSP compounding too, if you look at this. That's for the RBC people in the room, little financial joke. But so at Kira, when I arrived, we were focused on Fortune 500 companies. Steam Whistle was a customer. We had a swim school as a customer, Ernst & Young. The clients were all over the map. And there was 3% churn per month. When we got focused in on schools of higher education and became a platform just for admissions offices, which sounds like a very narrow market that a lot of investors would say is too small, we went to 1% churn over 3 years. So that's 1/3% churn over 3 years from 3% per month. Anybody here go to a Fish concert before? People from Abacus Marketing, I'm sure, have been, I know that. So only I think about 8 people put up their hand, and there's probably 80% of you don't even know who Fish is. It's one of the most successful and profitable bands. They focus in on the coalition of the willing. So I go back to going narrow, but you also want to focus in on the coalition of the willing. And in the case, I talked about vegans. Vegans are the coalition of the willing. You find somebody a vegan that likes your product, they will stick with you, even if it's not perfect, even if it doesn't meet all of their needs, because they are very loyal. The same thing is with people that go to Fish concerts. Fish had 13 shows in a row at Madison Square Gardens. People went to all of these. They don't care about anybody else except for the people that are at their shows and listening to their music. They're not trying to convince other people to come to their shows. And I will do the same thing with VeganLabs. I'm not going to try to convince the gym to carry the product. I'm not going to try to convince backpackers. If you're vegan, it's for you. If it's not, I'm not going to spend money acquiring you. And the same thing was with Akira. We discovered that schools, the MBA schools, graduate business schools, loved the product. They were the coalition of the willing. They didn't push back like schools of medicine, who you had to try to convince just to try the product. The MBA schools loved it, talked about it, and spread the word. And churn happens for many reasons. The number one is bad fit. And if you see there, you probably can't see this, but number 2 is behind in payment, which essentially means bad fit. They're not paying for it because it's a bad fit. And that equates to more than 60%. So you're spending all this money trying to acquire customers, and then you're spending money putting them into your sales funnel, and then you onboard them, and then they churn. So why even focus on them in the first place? You want to be the expert. This is the 3rd step that I take in building a zero churn business. You want to be the industry expert, even if you aren't. And this is a little bit different than fake it until you make it. So I've only been a vegan for 2 years, but when I launch my company in January, when you come to my site, it will feel like you're dealing with an industry expert. There is going to be hundreds of meal plans. There's going to be scientific studies on the walnut, on the chia seed. I mean, it is going to be so, it's not going to be meaningful to you if you come there and it's not your interest. But if you come there and you're a vegan, you're going to think, or you're going to see that we are the industry experts. And we did something at Kira as well. And I give credit to Andrew Hastings, who was our director of marketing at the time. And we became the industry experts in the MBA space. We did ebooks on admissions fraud. We wrote ebooks on designing your dream cohort, on breaking down bias in admissions. Things that you're probably listening to it right now and you're thinking, that's not that exciting, but for them, it was. And the fourth thing is you want to onboard the shit out of these people, okay? Nothing drives me more crazy besides the people that their market share is, everybody, is they spend all this money acquiring a customer, and then they put them in the sales funnel, and they finally turn them into a client, and they think they're a client. But that is just the beginning of where you should be spending your money. You need to onboard the shit out of them. You need to educate them on why they purchased the product. Because the minute that they pay for it, they have buyer's remorse. You want to re-educate them over and over again. You want to inspire them with data, what's happening and how they're using the product, and you want to delight them. If you're expecting to have a client forever, then you should be budgeting to spend money to delight them forever. So again, 4 steps to building a zero churn business. Go narrow, really, really narrow. Focus on the coalition of the willing. Be the industry expert, even if you aren't, and onboard the shit out of them. Like a lot of things in business, it's simple to plan, not as easy to execute, so you need to put the time and effort into it. Thank you very much.
Questions? No, Mark.
How do you know somebody's vegan? They fucking tell you they're vegan, that's how. All right. Any questions?
Right here. Hi, I'm Balaji from MedStack. I love the presentation, thank you very much. I imagine this framework changes on the spectrum behind fewer customers, large enterprise sales, down to the polar opposite, which is sort of long-tail consumer, especially in the muddy, murky area of SMB sales. How do you think this changes? Particularly the last point you made about onboarding customers. That's really hard if you got to aim for 500 customers a year.
Yeah. I mean, if you're charging somebody $50 a month, like I'm expecting that I'm going to be in the neighborhood of $200 a month, the average customer. I'm not going to have a 1-hour onboarding call and talk to them about their diet and all of that. But it'll be a lot of automation. There's a lot of ways to educate people, not just by firing out 5 emails on the first week that they're customer. There's a lot of different ways to inspire, educate, and delight. And you're right, it has to be different depending on how much they've spent, but it can't just be this, here's 3 emails, off you go.
Last question.
Did you become a vegan to start this company?
Sorry, did I become a vegan what?
To start this company.
No, but it's not a bad idea. Okay, thanks a lot.
Amazing presentation.